The morning sun sliced through the glass walls of the conference room, painting golden lines across rows of polished faces. At the head of the table sat Evelyn Hart, 33, tall and poised, with the calm confidence of someone who had fought her way up from nothing. Her sharp hazel eyes scanned the room as she waited for the presentation she'd spent months perfecting. The Ether Initiative, a renewable tech design that could redefine the company's future. But before she could speak, Adrian Cole, the company's charming chief innovation officer, strode in late, tie loose, smile rehearsed. He plugged in his tablet, and her world stopped. On the screen was her work, her data, her diagrams, her words. Except now, Adrian was calling it his. Evelyn's stomach clenched as the board members leaned forward, enthralled. Adrian's silver tongue danced through the pitch, and every nod, every approving smile, felt like a blade in her chest. When he said, "I call this the Ether Initiative," Evelyn's heart fractured in silence. She tried to protest, but the CEO silenced her with a look. "Let's not get emotional, Ms. Hart," he said, eyes on Adrian. "This could make us millions." When the meeting ended, the applause that filled the room wasn't for her. Adrian shook hands, basking in the glow of stolen brilliance. Evelyn stood frozen, her fingernails biting into her palm. That night, she walked alone through the city's glass and steel canyon, her reflection fractured in every window. She replayed every choice that led her here. The nights without sleep, the ideas dismissed until he echoed them. But as the neon lights flickered across her face, something inside her hardened. She realized something profound. Adrian didn't just steal her idea. He handed her a reason. Over the next few weeks, Evelyn stopped arguing and started watching. She studied Adrian's patterns, his shortcuts, his vices, his arrogance. He thought the game was over, but he had only opened a new one. She began to move quietly, creating a shadow project under a dummy name, a company no one connected to her. She repurposed her original code, improved it, and made it untraceably hers again. When Adrian's version hit production, it would depend entirely on her proprietary system, one she could dismantle in seconds. Evelyn didn't want revenge just to win back credit. No, she wanted legacy, the kind that would make his name vanish and hers rise where his had stood. And she whispered into the night, as city lights burned below, "Let him build it higher. The higher he climbs, the harder he'll fall." Weeks passed, and Adrian basked in fame built on someone else's sweat. The Ether Initiative was now the company's crown jewel, with investors lining up to pour money into it. Cameras followed Adrian everywhere. His smile became the face of innovation. Evelyn, meanwhile, faded into the background, just as she planned. She spent her days in silence, working late, assisting Adrian with minor technical details. He thought she had accepted defeat, that her ambition had been broken, but every quiet moment was a move on her invisible chessboard. Beneath the surface, Evelyn had begun constructing a digital labyrinth, an invisible control structure buried in the Aether system's core code. To anyone else, it looked like optimization. In reality, it was ownership. Every major component traced back to her encrypted key. If triggered, the entire infrastructure would reroute through her private network, erasing Adrian's authority completely. She was meticulous. No trace, no clue, no emotion. The company's legal team adored her compliance. Adrian adored her submission. The perfect camouflage. But Evelyn's revenge wasn't just technical. It was psychological. She began whispering seeds of doubt where it mattered most. A casual comment here, a gentle observation there. Funny how Adrian's results always need last-minute fixes, she'd say to the project manager. He's brilliant, but sometimes reckless. Whispers spread, slowly, organically, By the time Adrian noticed the shift, he couldn't tell where it started. Investors began demanding more data. The CEO started reviewing Adrian's performance for consistency. Evelyn never looked up when the tension filled the hallways. Meanwhile, her shadow company, Wire Technologies, was gaining traction. She had registered it under a distant cousin's name, building a quiet partnership network in renewable analytics. Everything Ether did, Wire did better, faster, cleaner, more scalable. She didn't want to destroy Ether yet. Not until Adrian had everything he wanted. Not until his name was engraved on glass, his arrogance broadcasted on every screen. Because then, when the fall came, it would echo louder. One evening, Adrian approached her desk, smug and casual. "You've been quiet lately, Hart," he said, leaning close. "Still sore about the project. You should be grateful. You're part of something historic." Evelyn smiled without warmth. "Oh, I am," she replied softly. "History has a funny way of remembering who truly built it." He laughed, dismissing her words as bitterness. He didn't notice the flash drive on her desk. One labeled Ether Root System, version 3.0. His empire depended on it. When he left, Evelyn opened her terminal. Lines of code scrolled across the screen like a storm. She whispered one phrase that would become prophecy. "Let him stand in the light. I'll pull the plug when it burns brightest." The trap was built. The fuse was ready. All she needed was the perfect spark. Adrian's fame peaked. The Aether initiative launched globally, and his face flooded every tech magazine cover. Investors toasted his vision, while Evelyn watched quietly from the corner of the boardroom, expression unreadable. Then came the spark. During a major product demo streamed live, the system froze. Adrian stammered on stage, trying to recover as the screen behind him flickered. The failure spread like wildfire. Thousands of connected devices crashed simultaneously. Evelyn didn't move. Her code had done its job perfectly. A delayed trigger buried deep within Ether's core, one that routed ownership data to Wire Technologies in real time. Every Ether patent, every encrypted asset, now belonged to her shadow company. Within hours, the media erupted. Ether compromised. The headlines read. The board blamed Adrian. The CEO demanded answers he couldn't give. His empire of stolen brilliance collapsed before his eyes. Evelyn remained calm, offering help in recovery meetings. She watched him unravel, sleepless, desperate, humiliated. Days later, Wire Technologies released a new and improved system. Sleek, secure, flawless. Investors flocked to it instantly. The same people who once praised Adrian now praised Wire. And when reporters asked Evelyn, now CEO of Wire, about the similarity between the two systems, she only smiled. "Sometimes," she said softly, "good ideas find the right hands, eventually." That night, she stood before the city lights, wind tugging at her coat. Revenge didn't feel loud or fiery. It was silent, precise, complete. Adrian had stolen her idea. She had stolen his legacy. Adrian's downfall was merciless. Within a week, the company suspended him, pending investigation. His emails were audited, his accounts frozen, and his reputation, once pristine, was now synonymous with fraud. Every network that had once courted him now refused his calls. He stormed into Evelyn's office one night, eyes bloodshot, suit wrinkled, voice cracking. "You did this," he hissed. "You turned them against me." Evelyn looked up slowly from her screen. "No," she said evenly. "You did that when you built your empire on lies." He slammed his hand on her desk, shaking. "You think you'll get away with this?" She smiled faintly. "I already have." Security escorted him out minutes later. The image of him, broken, shouting in a glass hallway, spread through the company like wildfire. The board fired him the next morning. By noon, His name was erased from every official document. Evelyn didn't celebrate. She didn't need to. The silence that followed was her applause. She spent the next few days finalizing her acquisition. Vire Technologies officially absorbed what remained of Ether. In the press, it was labeled a strategic merger. In truth, it was a burial. When the deal closed, Evelyn signed her name beneath a new logo. Her name now etched in glass where his once stood. Later, as she walked past the reflection of the building's lobby, she saw Adrian outside. Disheveled, defeated, watching the empire that once bore his name. Their eyes met for a single moment. Evelyn didn't speak. She didn't need to. The look in his eyes told her he finally understood what she had taken. Not his job, not his company, his legacy. Months passed. The world moved on, as it always does, rewriting history around the victors. Evelyn Hart was now hailed as a visionary, the woman who saved sustainable tech from collapse. Her name appeared on magazine covers, in keynote speeches, and across glowing billboards. She had everything Adrian once stole, multiplied by 10: influence, admiration, and a future engraved in the industry's foundation. But she never forgot the silence that followed his fall. It was the kind of silence that carried weight, not victory, but consequence. One cold evening, she received a message. No name, just an address. Abandoned docks at the city's edge. Something in her gut told her who it was. She went anyway. Adrian stood there, thinner, rougher, the shine gone from his eyes. You got what you wanted, he said quietly, voice hollow. They all love you now. So tell me, was it worth it? Evelyn didn't answer immediately. The wind whipped around them, scattering echoes of a past that once burned bright. She stepped closer, eyes steady. You didn't just take my idea, Adrian. You took years of my life. My trust, my name. I didn't ruin you. I restored balance. He gave a bitter laugh. Balance. You destroyed me. No, she said softly. You destroyed yourself. I just stopped helping you do it. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, almost whispering, you're just like me now. Evelyn's gaze softened, though not with pity. No, I'm what you pretended to be. He turned away, disappearing into the night's fog. She didn't follow. She didn't need to. Some wars end not with explosions, but with echoes, and his would fade long before hers. Back at her office, Evelyn stood before the massive glass window overlooking the city. Her reflection stared back, sharp, composed, untouchable. Below, the neon sign of Vire Technologies glowed like fire against the skyline. Her assistant entered quietly. The investors are waiting, Ms. Hart. Evelyn nodded, turning to face the future she had built with precision. Let's begin. As she walked into the boardroom, cameras flashed, lights blazed, and the world leaned in to listen. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the confidence and the calm, a part of her wondered if victory always required loss, and whether her silence had simply become another kind of cage. Still, she smiled, because in the end, history would only remember one truth. He stole her idea. She stole his legacy. And the world applauded her for it.